You're watching SKST Radio.
Hi, everyone. This is Heidi Hughes, your host with Lighthouse Energetics, and welcome to our show. And today we have a special guest with us. This is Dr. Stephen Brown. So hello, Dr. Stephen Brown, and so glad that you have this opportunity to gift us with your present, and I'm honored. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Heidi, for having me.
Thank you. Okay. So I know we have the bio running below, but a little bit about you, with who you are. And the theme of the show today is actually Know Thyself with the sound of soul, which is HU, which is he, you. And there's plenty of ways that I've practiced saying this, so you're the expert at it. And sometimes my voice cracks when I say it, but it's a beautiful frequency. And when I first met you about 4 years ago on Facebook, and your poetry drew me into you, and then when you introduced this to me, it very much enlightened me, and I greatly appreciate it. So, but yeah, I definitely want to ask you a little bit about, you have this talent, this poetry that's driven with the soul, like the sound of the HU. So can you tell us a little bit about where that came from?
Well, like I tell people many times, I am but a seed of consciousness that was planted within my heart, the temple of my heart, by the inner master, and I blossom. And when I come to fruit in various ways, it's to nourish those around me, for one learns that one is here because soul exists because of God's love, and that one is here to love and serve, and there is no other reason. So all of the talents that exist within us as individuals are what sometimes are referred to as the treasures of heaven. And I was once taught that contentment is the ever deepening receptivity to the treasures of heaven within one's own heart. So there is an ocean of consciousness within which we live and move and have being. Like the fish is not aware of the sea, some of us in the human consciousness are not aware that we dwell within this vast sphere of consciousness, this ocean of love and mercy. We call it the Ek. Pythagoras called it Ek. The Ek are the one substance that flows out of the Logos and permeates and penetrates all of life. The Word, the Hu, the voice of God, the root of the word human, the root of the word Alleluia, or Allahu Allah. This is in essence consciousness, this Ek, that we can see as light when we close our eyes, hear as sound in our inner ear, and many do, and this flows through us as it flows through God, and it brings forth within us the gifts of consciousness that God planted in us as its atom in the moment we were created out of its love. And we spend lifetimes until we finally recognize that we're here not to serve ourselves, but to serve the God self within us and within everyone else. The Hu brings this out, for the essence of God is who we are. We are the Ek, our divine spirit, and divine spirit is ourselves. And so what it does is it perfects us to express more of itself more perfectly. It brings forth our gifts, our God-given gifts of music, of art, of speech, of dance, of creativity. For life is a creative process of living. And as we become more conscious, we are able to work more directly in alignment with the will of God that flows along the lines of our individuality, and we become more godlike, and we express what we express in our own unique way from our heart. And for me, it is words. That is poetry and prose. And those words come from deep within me. For I am as you are, Heidi, a spark of the Ek, an atom of God, a microcosm, soul, a unit of awareness.
Yes, yes. And yeah, so definitely like your poetry has been blessed with that love. And, I wish everybody had an opportunity to just hear, your poetry. I did get the app. There's a free app called HU, and I love it because it has hundreds of people singing it at once. And, right now you have a lot of people going through anxiety and a lot of things going on, and their jobs are falling away and everything's falling away and they kind of feel lost. But at the same time, the reason why I have you on here is you are a lighthouse. And the reason why I created Lighthouse is to have people like you come on, because you're here to be a guide to safe harbor for these people. We're going through a huge shift into a higher dimension, and that means higher frequencies and higher vibrations. And a lot of people that, they were not, haven't had the opportunity yet, to hear or listen or understand what's going on. And, my heart goes out to them. And at the same time, I'm hoping that, for instance, having you on here and, people can look down below at information and so forth to find out, how do they know what's going on, and how do they, instead of going on the outside and be like, wow, everything's falling apart on the outside, how can they go within, their heart space and get connected to God again and realize that they're not alone in this, and there's beauty within. And when you get that beauty within, you also get your passion, and you get your purpose and why you're actually here. And of course, you do the beautiful poetry, and you're a beautiful guide for people, and I really, really appreciate that. But with other people, I'm hoping that we can enlighten them a little bit as a guide. And maybe we could share a little bit about, like you did with me in the beginning, about, a little bit about the sound, and because sound is a great vibration and it's a frequency in music, and people don't understand that music, it actually has frequencies that deal with organs in your body. And it helps you with anxiety. And when I listen to the one app, it calms me down. So I go through rough patches sometimes. I'll have a high and then a low in the same day, like bipolar. And it's just my emotions and the vibrations and the frequencies coming at me. So I'll put that on, and I really appreciate it. I'd rather listen to that than hear my own voice, but I do that like at night or something by myself, and I practice without cracking my voice. So, but yeah, if you, can we share a little bit about, about the sound and how you tune and tap into that and kind of do the connectedness with the heart, if that's okay?
Yes. You mentioned a lighthouse or a guide. My purpose in incarnating into this lifetime was to resume, like many of those who study the ancient teachings of Ek, known now as the path of spiritual freedom, is to resume my journey as they into ECK Mastership, and to assist the seeker, those very fellow travelers, divine atoms like you and I, to discover that in the temple of their heart is the house of consciousness of what is known as the Mahanta, Mahanta, or the inner master. It is what the man Jesus spoke of when he said, in my Father's house are many mansions. Those mansions are levels of consciousness. And the Father's house that he spoke of was the Ek, or the Holy Spirit. And the inner master has become one with the consciousness of God and has an outer form that we speak of as the living word. And that is a very important idea that is essential for man in his human form, in his astral or causal or mental or etheric form, many bodies that soul has that corresponds to the different levels of heaven, to meet the master in the same form. For there is always a living representative of that consciousness, one who has become so surrendered that the blending is seamless, and he has now gained the purification of the heart to become the word itself. And so that is important. I wanted to share that with you, that I am here to guide the seeker to the temple of his own heart, where he will meet, if he sings the hue, the inner master, however he meets him, as Christ, as Krishna, as Allah, as Jehovah, whatever his particular path is, it matters not to me, for we are each unique and we travel our own path. And each path is, Heidi, perfect for the one who travels it. So there is no attempt to sway one from one path to another. It is timeless. When the seed is planted and God creates soul out of its love, it does so with sound. It sends it into the worlds of form with sound, with its voice, with a hue. It's a wave of sound and light, Heidi. That is what the Eckankar essence of God is, and it can be seen as light and heard as sound. And there are many sounds, Heidi. There's the lightning and the thunder, the light and the sound on the physical world. There's the roar of the sea. There's the bells or the drums. There's the running water on the mental plane. The buzzing of bees on the etheric plane, where there's intuition, and sounds like the single note of flute or the wind. So these are the sounds that one can hear in one's inner ear. And Heidi, as you intuitively understand, when you hear those sounds, you're tuning into a higher frequency. You're tuning into a more resonant harmony. It stills you, Heidi. It helps you rise above the anxieties and the stress and the turmoils of the day. And that's because you learn to surrender, to trust, to relax in the arms of God or the source or the creator or the divine, whatever you wish to call that atom, that great atom of being within which we live and move and have being, and are its perfect replicate. Because, Heidi, everything that is within God is within you and I. Time, space, the planets, the stars, the galaxies, the levels of heaven, they are with you and I, Heidi. And the hue helps soul move within itself, sometimes through the crown chakra, sometimes through the third eye. It opens the heart to God's love. Because, Heidi, it is so important for each of us to understand that the essence of our spiritual freedom is our capacity to give and receive God's love. And it is that love, or the ek, or the light and sound pouring through us, that lifts us beyond the duality of the mind into the singularity of trust and surrender and what we call spiritual knowing, the faith, the alignment, the harmony with the higher vibration within ourselves, our true self as soul, that allows us to live in man's world and yet not be of it. This is how we pass through the chaos of life. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Thy rod and thy staff shall comfort me, the man Jesus said in his book, the Bible, that scripture for those who love God in that way. Well, it was speaking of trust and surrender to a greater state of consciousness within ourselves that is ourselves, Heidi, that is the truth of ourselves. And so that sound can guide soul back home to God. And maybe we can talk later or now about something called initiation, which is the source of baptism, of the understanding of baptism, that literally imbues soul with a greater degree of subjective awareness of the essence of God. And that is given by the inner master. We call him the light giver or the Vaiguru. And that is the very secret rhythm of the teachings that I have studied and served within for 51 years. The initiation of soul into the returning wave of sound that
Thank you.
carries soul to the heart of God.
Hey, Stephen, we're going to have to take a quick break, but when we come back, maybe we can do like a demonstration.
Okay.
And thank you so much. Okay.
Cammie's Closet, Cammie's Closet, Cammie's Closet, an upscale resale clothing, vintage clothing, handbag, and shoes online store. Cammie's Closet, spelled with a K, not with a T, is a small upscale resale boutique that carried gently used name brand clothing, vintage clothing, shoes, and handbags. Cammie's Closet is all about rediscovering, upcycling, and selling clothes of all kinds. Cammie's Closet believes it's an underappreciated form of clothing, and they started a win-win for everyone. The true value of resale. Cammie's Closet is very aficionado, passionate about rediscovering, upcycling, and reselling upscale resale and vintage clothing of all kinds. Go to cammiescloset.com. That's K, not a T, A-M-I-S-K, not a C, L-O-S-E-T. cammiescloset.com.
Okay, welcome back. This is Heidi Hughes with Lighthouse Energetics, and we have Dr. Stephen Brown with us today. And we're going over the Sound of Soul, which is HU. The HU. And we're actually going to do a great demonstration so everyone out there can get a little connected on how I learned how to get connected to my heart space, where, God resides. God created us in his image. And our heart space is it, and it has actually many layers in it. And what I love, I'm gonna jump in real quick, is when I sing, before you go into it, when I sing it and I start with the he part and I try to drop it down into my stomach, and then I try to switch the octane or whatever, and bring the you part up, and at the same time it's like down my whole vertebrae with all my chakras, and it's like, to me, it's aligning them all up as one unit, and then also being the heart led. So I just wanted to integrate that a little bit. But yes, please go on, take it from here.
Thank you, Heidi. Well, Hugh helps man form a bridge from his heart to heaven, because one of the great secrets, and you mentioned this at the beginning, Heidi, is that the road home to God is through man's own heart. That is the identity of every teaching of man. If you wish to return home to God, you must first enter the portal of heaven through your own heart. For your own heart pulsates in rhythmic resonance to the beating, the rhythm of the macrocosm within the very heart of God. Man does not realize that he is identical in his own microcosm to God who created him. And it is the exploration of that microcosm that helps man return to God the gift of awareness, for we are actually giving God feedback about itself in its exploration and expansion of its own consciousness. We are soul. We are immortal, indestructible, immutable. We are not the body. And you know what? The hue helps man, all of us, overcome the fear of death so that we can live life more joyfully in the awareness of our eternal nature and of our eternal connection to God. So what you do, Heidi, is you put your attention on the spiritual eye. Find a space within you of gratitude, for gratitude opens the heart to God's love. If I say I love you, Heidi, it's really saying that I'm aware of God's love flowing through me for you. And if you say I love you, Stephen, it's really you becoming aware of God's love flowing through you for me. And that's why we're here, to be an open and transparent vehicle for the divine impulse flowing through each of our hearts, because each of us is an individual and unique, and we must find our own way to the heart of God. And
So Stephen, so with that being said, a lot of people get confused with, there's different kinds of love out there. You know, you have unconditional love, conditioned love, which a lot of people are familiar with conditioned love. And then you have the unconditional love, in which we're speaking of. And at the same time, we're also talking about divine love, you know, and there's sacred love as well. So I'm just saying, with a little differentiate, you know, for people out there who are not familiar, you know, with the different types of love. And then when you connect to that God source, you know, in singing this, you know, it's not only unconditional love, but it's actually chiming in more of the deeper sacredness, which sacred love is supposed to be protected over anything out there in the world, and only humans have that. And I'm really fond of that. I'm big into divine love and sacred love, and so I just wanted to intertwine that in there, because some people out there are not familiar with the different types of love. And you know, when you are singing this and you're learning more about being connected and knowing thyself, that's why I wanted to integrate that. Sorry.
Well, Heidi, I don't want to embarrass you, but I could be interviewing you, because your heart is full of so much awareness, and you understand so much. And I appreciate what you just said.
Thank you.
I couldn't have said it any better. And the hue helps us as an individual become neutral, become detached, become acceptant of ourselves and of others, and to allow life to be as it is, as it flows through us, because consciousness always precedes outer circumstance. And so when we become still within ourselves, or as man's Bible says, be still and know God, the hue helps us become neutral, because God is what opposites have in common. It is neither for nor against. It is transcendent. It is still. It is acceptant. It is unconditional. Heidi, know that you can never do anything or not do anything that will ever cause God to love you one iota less or one iota more. God simply loves, and the hue helps us as individuals to simply love. So let me show you how it's done.
Thank you.
You put your attention on your spiritual eye. You take a few deep breaths and know that God is singing the hue to you, even as you sing it within yourself. You're becoming the microcosm, expressing God's voice in your own world and aligning with God's voice, singing to all of life within itself. And as you do this, as you become aware of what you love, it could be your cat or your bird or your dog or your child or anyone or anything. Your third eye is your creative imagination. It's just like the single eye of God. And what you do is you use that single eye, that creativity, and you take a few deep breaths, you close your eyes, and don't ever judge the sound of your own voice. Just appreciate it. It's your voice. It's your sound. It's your God-given sound that you can harmonize with the sound of God. And you sing. with your eyes still closed, you listen inside and you look inside. You may see light, blue light, purple light, orange light, rosy red light, the light from the different levels of heaven, or you may hear a sound, or you may see something, or you may simply feel a tingle at the top of your head where spirit enters the crown chakra, or you may feel a pressure on your third eye as an opening, or your head may feel larger as your consciousness is expanding, or you may just feel the deep peace and love from the hue itself. Sound frees man from the human consciousness. It is the great gift of the Vairagi ECK Masters to man, all of sound. Man did not develop language. Language was given to man, just like man did not develop numbers. They were given to man, for numbers have sacred vibrations, and sounds open man's chakras, and they affect his DNA, and thus the development of the race was overseen by the God-Realized Vairagi ECK Masters. The hue is the original mantra, the seed sound. The Om comes from the Omkar current on the mental plane governed by the great Brahm, who governs the twin polarities of negative and positive. But when we leave the mind, Heidi, we become free of duality, and we move into a space that Rumi referred to in his poetry. Come join me in a field where there is no right doing or wrongdoing, where soul lays down and rests amongst the beingness and love and consciousness, where there is only light, there is no darkness, and the mind cannot be. It is soul, the true home of man in the soul plane. Do this view 20 to 30 minutes a day. Get the app, go on iPhone or Google Play, and you can see the app it's a blue square with golden yellow letters, and it'll teach you about the hue. It's for you, the individual, to sing by yourself or in a group, but it's not with intention. It's not to change anything. Thy will be done. May the blessings be. We become unconditional in our acceptance of God's will as we blend with it in singing the hue and become more godlike. We are here to demonstrate the presence of God. That is a gift, Heidi. It is a gift to touch the heart of another in service and love.
Yes, it is. So, yes. No, thank you so much. And again, with everything going on in the world right now, without people having to think and fear and all that, for them to get on that free app, we'll put all the links down below, as well as it's, running on the bar on the bottom, just for them, just to practice, they can go on the sites to maybe get more information. And I feel like that would be a great way for everybody to just, everything that's out there, just bring everything into that and get centered and get grounded and, just become one. And the sound and the vibration and the frequency, and how it resonates with your soul and everything. And you feel really good. I feel great. I feel great. And like I said, I really appreciate it, because we go through different times throughout the day, and it just brings me back and it centers myself. And it's like if I took a long nap and had wonderful dreams, it's just really good. And then I get back on my mission, for the day. And, what am I supposed to do? Because I'm balancing life here on earth and then my spirituality as well, and being in the middle at the same time too. So I'm really grateful for the teachings of all the ECK Masters, of all these times, and all of it. I'm very, very appreciative of it. So, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. I've always looked up to you. And so thank you for saying thank you. And I hope that, we're able to guide people. And like I said, I want people to know thyself and to know that connectedness. And this is a brilliant way to become one. So thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Heidi. The you is for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It may make you a better Christian or a better Jew or a better Muslim or a better Hindu, but it's for you. It's for the individual to sing of your love for God and learn of the holy ways of the sound that carries you into spaces within yourself where you can know and be and perceive and be a greater being for all those around you.
Thank you. Thank you again for everything. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Okay. Thank you again. And welcome everybody for being here. Appreciate you guys being here on Lighthouse Energetics. And again, thank you, Dr. Stephen Brown. And follow our links and everything's going to be up and running and it's going to be an exciting adventure. And we all will have the latest of everything that we could ever ask for. So thank you again for everything. Thank you, Stephen, and good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.